Hi everyone, this is BritSimon. I want to talk to you today about the impacts that are going to be caused by the current healthcare crisis. It's hard to explain to people outside of the USA and in some other countries where the virus is not being taken seriously at the moment about how big the impacts will be. But it is quite clear that the governments around the world, some of the more responsible, more informed governments, are planning for a long-term and deep impact to their economies. The government of the US has already cut interest rates to zero. They have no further way of cutting them further. They've injected money into the economy. The government is considering options of increasing national debt by between $1 trillion and $4 trillion to give companies and individuals a bailout. They're actually talking about sending money directly to every family under a certain income, perhaps under $85,000 or $100,000. They'll be sending money to those individuals. There are many extreme measures being put in place. There's a fair degree of panic in certain places. In other places, they think the world is just running along fine. So there's sort of an unequal understanding about what's happening at the moment. Now, it could be that the virus doesn't spread as all the models predict. It could be that perhaps somebody comes up with a vaccine for the virus. Perhaps a lot of the concerns that there are at the moment will prove to be unfounded. But if the models are anything like the governments are planning for, which it would then justify the actions they're taking so far, it's clear that that the impact is going to be deep and long lasting. And to give you an idea of what that means, perhaps first of all we should talk about the spread of the virus itself. So I'm going to overlay a website here, which is the current spread of the virus. The virus in China looks to be somewhat contained. And that's a very positive sign, but do we entirely trust the Chinese government to be disseminating accurate information? I don't know. But in other countries, the rate of growth of infections at the moment is increasing rapidly, partly because the testing is increasing rapidly. So the more people you test, the higher the numbers. So America, literally 2 or 3 days ago, had only 4,000 people infected. That number has trebled in the last couple of days. We're up to about 12,000 infected now. And the death rates are that high. And again, to sort of explain, and if you look at the charts, for other parts of the world, Italy, Spain, Germany, these countries are having significant impact as well. So this will impact us in various ways. Certainly everybody is concerned about the DV lottery. Will that continue? Will it be cancelled? Let me just address a couple of things. It cannot be cancelled as such, and they could continue scheduling interviews, but of course if the embassies can't handle the interview processes, eventually those interviews will be cancelled and there may not be time to reschedule the interviews. They will not extend the deadline of 30th of September. That's impossible. The deadline is a part of law. It can't be changed. It would need a law to change the DV lottery end date, which nobody's interested in that right now. There's much bigger concerns to the US government than making sure the DV lottery candidates are somehow treated fairly. So the program will end on 30th of September 2020, without a doubt, and the new process will start, and it will start with interviews from 1st of October. The DV 2021 will start. Those things won't change. So the question is, how much time will there be for embassies around the world to reschedule interviews that are cancelled here now in March and April? Even if they were to reopen the embassies in May, it's clear that there would be a big impact to the numbers of people that could be scheduled by the end of the year, and it will obviously have some impact. Exactly what that will be, I don't know. I've already said in a previous video and other entries and answers to various questions, I don't know. I don't know how big these impacts will be. I can't predict it because we're talking about something that's way out of the norm. It's much bigger than the DV lottery program. You know, it's bad. Now, we have talked about people that have been approved and are sitting on their own visas, but have not yet entered the USA. And you know, we've talked about the fact that in some cases, people will be able to get an extension of their visa so that they can come later. Those extensions would be granted up until 30th of September 2020, and if you got an extension, let's say on September 20th, and you redid your medical and you went through whatever hoops they wanted you to go through, and they granted you another few months of access into the USA, you could enter after September 30th of 2020, but the visa would have to be reissued before September 20th, before September 30th, 2020, right? So that's a matter of how you enter, etc. And for some people have asked if they're currently if they've already activated their status and they're currently out of the States, can they extend the 1 year period that they can be out of the USA? Again, same sort of answer. Yes, they would be able to do that. If they had to, they could probably go to the local embassy and when those are open again, and apply for an SB1 visa, which is a returning resident visa, and come back in. So those cases are kind of taken care of. But I did want to address another really big point that perhaps people are not realizing. The impact of the virus itself is having drastic impact on the economy of the USA and the economies of other westernized countries as well. So the exchange rates are showing that the Australian dollar is in trouble, the UK pound is in trouble, the euro is in trouble. The economies of the world's leading economies are being hit badly, and USA is no different. So what's happening now is that a lot of people have been told to stay at home, shelter in place. There's 7 million people in my area that have been told to do that. But all around the country, businesses are being told, or will shortly be told, to close their doors if they can. That means restaurants, entertainment, hospitality, companies, etc. Anything considered non-essential at the moment will be told to close their doors and stop doing business if they have to. Restaurants will be able to produce food for pickup, but not have seating inside their restaurants. That's going to impact, for example, restaurant staff and restaurant owners. Those owners are going to have to continue to pay bills. Many of those owners, the business owners, will go bankrupt quite quickly, probably within a month or two. The businesses will go bust, right? So the people that were working for those businesses will be then unemployed. And the expectation is, and I know this to be true because my own company is making plans specifically for this, because we service small and medium-sized businesses that will be affected. So those businesses there'll be large numbers of people being made unemployed. So you could enter the USA at the moment, but to enter the USA, let's say in the next week or two, and go out and try and do job hunting, or to go to the Social Security office, or any of those things, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be very difficult. I don't think companies are going to be hiring at the moment in general. A few key companies will be. They'll be looking for healthcare workers for sure. They'll be looking for staff at Amazon, for example, where they can deliver packages to your home rather than you going shopping. but there won't be retail jobs being hired for, there won't be hospitality jobs being hired for, the tourism industry will be decimated, the airline industry is going to be decimated. There's going to be significant impact in all sorts of businesses, and those businesses that are not doing so much business, that will have a knock-on effect to the rest of the economy. So some models predict that there could be an unemployment rate in the USA if this continues for a period of several weeks and months. We could be seeing unemployment rates in the region of 20%, which means that you as a new immigrant coming into the USA are going to have a tough time finding a job, finding a place to live, etc. All sorts of things are going to be more difficult. By the way, private landlords and landlords are going to be asked to forgive rent. So in other words, they're not going to be able to get rent. So it's a chain reaction. Let's say I own a house and I rent it to someone who works in the hospitality industry. They lose their job. I would normally say, well, you've got to pay me rent anyway, but I can't say that in these times. So I would then probably forgive the rent that I was expecting for the house that I've rented out. So sooner or later, if I had invested in that property and if I was paying a mortgage on that property, I would be personally impacted as well. So there's a chain of events that will happen. So the picture I'm trying to paint to you and trying to make you understand is that this virus is going to have significant impacts. It will impact us all, and it will definitely make it more of an uphill battle for any new immigrants coming to the country over the next few months. And it will probably last months, right? So again, some models talk about this lasting a year to 18 months in terms of the impact. We probably won't recover from this for some time to come. So I think that anyone going through this process at the moment and about to have an interview and considering their interview needs to consider also what their employment prospects will be when they come to the USA. If you're a healthcare worker and you're about to enter the USA, come. I mean, the USA would love to see you, but you may also find that you've got improved prospects in your own home country. If, on the other hand, you had planned to come and work in the hospitality industry or retail or something like that, and you come to the USA at the moment and you activate your visa and decide to stay, then you better have a plan on how you're going to survive here without much of an income or without any income for a period of weeks or possibly months, because you might find it much harder to find a job. So I think we need to seriously sit back and think about this. Now, a lot of doom and gloom in this video, I understand that, but I'm trying to sort of lay out a picture and get an understanding across that perhaps many of you won't understand. From the chart that I was showing earlier, you'll see that Africa, for example, is almost untouched by the virus so far, but that's going to, there won't be very much information in Africa as a whole about this. And certainly not the sort of the mental preparedness that those of us in some other countries like the USA are getting mentally readjusted to what's about to happen to the economy of the country, etc. So yeah, quite a bit of doom and gloom. I understand that it's not a positive video, but I think it's important that you know the position here and that you come with your eyes wide open. So I think I've probably answered most of the questions that you could probably have, although undoubtedly people will continue to ask the same questions, and I'll do whatever I can to keep answering those. But I am extremely busy in my job at the moment, because I'm having to rewrite programs for my company that produces payroll. We produce payroll for over 300,000 people, and many of those people are about to lose their jobs over this virus situation. So it's kind of a big deal. So anyway, that's my perspective. You may see things differently. You may have a much more optimistic view of it. I am probably one of the world's most optimistic people. If you met me in person, you would know that. But still, we have to be realistic, I think, and we need to understand how things could be. Hopefully things will be better than I'm saying. Hopefully there'll be a quick resolution to this. But at the moment, there's no real hope on the horizon, and the damage is already being done. So you know, it's a serious event. All right, I'll try and follow up in a couple of days with another video. We'll touch base and see how things are going, and good luck with everything. And you know, take care of yourselves, and please take care of your personal hygiene, such as washing your hands, etc. You know, it's no joke at the moment. Things are getting serious. All right, okay. Cheers now. Bye bye.